Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to express to you all a dream that I recently had. This dream is very important because for many of you, especially the chosen seed, if you've been experiencing a lot of changes that have been happening where you're feeling like this low vibrational energy that's been trying to penetrate into your auric field, or you find yourself dealing with karmics in your life where things are just changing. Many of you all know I recently told you about an experience that me and my children had with a karmic a couple of days ago. We're all doing fine, and I appreciate everybody that reached out to express their concern and to check in on us. But I have to tell you all about a dream that I had last night. I was trying to hold off, but I'm like, no, this is very important. And so in this dream, I was standing outside next to someone and we was just talking. I guess it was an associate in my dream. And we were standing outside and suddenly helicopters, apparently they was like futuristic type of helicopters, because I'd never seen anything like this in my life, but the helicopters were like the shapes of like octagons, and it was about four of them, and they landed on top of this building that was right in front of us. And so everyone that was outside was like looking in that direction, trying to see, well, who is this? What are they getting ready to do? So out of the helicopter steps these guards, or you might even call them soldiers. But if you look up like the guards that are in the UK that guarded um, uh, the the palace where Queen Elizabeth stayed, that's how they looked. They had those really big black hats on, and they stepped out first, and then right behind them came so-called Queen Elizabeth. Now, she looked the way that she generally has looked in a lot of, the TV, the media, or whatnot, when she comes out in the public, or when she did when she was still living. And so when she came off of the helicopter, she looked straight ahead, but intuitively, I knew that she was there for me. Okay. I knew that she was there for me. So me and the person that I was standing next to, we started backing up behind the building so that she wouldn't be able to see us. But I knew without her looking at me that she already saw me. She knew where to find me, and she was there for me. And so we ended up backing up. And so about a minute later, she came down by herself, and she walked up to the person that was standing next to me, the one who I was associating myself with outside. She walked up to this person, and she looked at them straight in their face, and she said, "Go and get them. Go and get them." And she pointed at me. When she said, "Go and get them," she pointed at me. But again, standing right there in front of me, she did not look at me, not one time. But when she pointed her hand at me and said, "Go and get them," while she was looking square at this person that was standing next to me, her hand turned dark brown. It looked like she had the hand just like my hand, like she was a melanated woman, okay? And so that was pretty interesting. So then we ended up in another area, in another room, and there was a woman there. She was Hispanic. I don't know where the person went that I was standing next to that she told to go and get them. But there was a woman in the room, and they were giving her this liquid. They was having her take this liquid, and she was sipping on it slowly. But telepathically, I heard her tell me, they are trying to erase our memory. They're trying to erase our memory of our spiritual gifts. And so looking at her, I was literally able to tap into what her spiritual gift was. She called herself a Reiki master, but her gift was far deeper than just, than doing Reiki. Like, she was able to heal people past the physical, past the spiritual. Like, she was able to heal people on a soul level. Her gift was very, very powerful. And I ended up leaving because I said, okay, I have to leave here. So I ended up leaving out of the building, and I ended up with my children. And I was like, we have to find nature. We have to go and find nature. And so I ended up in this neighborhood with these huge mansions. Like, I'm talking about stupid mansions, okay? And each one of them had these huge backyards. And so it was confusing to me because I thought that I was in the forest preserve each time I ended up in their backyard, until I looked up and I realized, wow, it's a big fence right here. I'm in somebody's yard. So we went back through the little crack of the fence. on the other side, and we came up to this pond. Beautiful. It was so beautiful it didn't look real, but come to find out, it wasn't. So we came up on this pond, all of these beautiful trees surrounding it. So I told my children, I was like, let's just put our feet in and see how warm it is. The water was so warm. It felt so good. And so when I put my foot in, the water literally, it pulled me all the way into the pond. And I realized that it was a swimming pool, but it was one of those pools where it starts off shallow, but it's like a slide that takes you deep into the water. And so I was like, oh my goodness. I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't even know if I know how to swim. I was just kind of panicking, but then I ended up coming out of the water. And then I realized I had to go back and grab two more of my children because they too had put their foot in the water and it pulled them in to the deep side of the water. So we got out, and that's when I woke up. Now, why is this important? Okay, I know that was pretty lengthy, but I have to tell you all that the spiritual download that came to me through this dream lets me know that they've done something. Oh, and that's what I didn't mention before I go further. In the dream, when Queen Elizabeth walked up to that person next to me and she pointed her finger and said, "Go get them," I literally instantly received like a vision. Oh my gosh, I skipped out on a couple of parts actually, y'all. It's coming back to me. I received a vision of the message that I had done on YouTube, that was called "Their Queen is Dead. Now What?" I did that message about so-called Queen Elizabeth right after she passed away. But I have to add that the woman, the Hispanic woman who had the gift of being able to read people and heal their energy, that was the Reiki master. I ended up seeing a vision of her after she drunk this liquid. It was like there was a glitch in the system, and I was able to see her going back and forth from being who she was in that present moment as I saw her to who she used to be. And when the glitch came into the system, what I saw was a vision of her sitting in her car, and she was on the phone. I guess she was talking to one of her girlfriends, and she was chewing her gum, like leaning to the side. She was like, "Girl, let's go to the club." Okay. And so that was the old version of her. And the glitch in the system was showing me that whatever she had taken was literally trying to push her back to the old version of who she was before she came into remembrance and stepped into her goddess energy and awakened to who she was as a chosen seed. And so that's what the dream was all about, okay? Now, fast forward to why I'm bringing this forward, okay? It's been revealed to me that these people have been doing spell work specifically to conjure up the energy of Queen Elizabeth. When I did that message months ago when she passed away, it's very important that you all go back and watch that message. I'll put a link in the description box below. It's important that you all go watch that message if you haven't seen it already, because it'll give you clarity on why her in particular. Because some of you might be like, "Oh, that little old lady," but others of you that's awakened is like, "Shit, that little old lady, hell yeah, that little old lady," right? Because you all know what it is. This so-called queen, they have conjured up her energy, and they have used her to be able to shape shift and to jump into the vessels of different people. When she pointed at me in the dream and said, "Go get them," and her hand turned into a melanated person's hand as dark as mine, it lets you know that they have an agenda to attack specifically melanated beings that have awakened, okay? And the person that was standing next to me, even though they were supposed to be my associate in the dream, suddenly when she looked them in their face, it's almost like she hypnotized them or put a spell on them in that very moment, and they became an agent, okay? If they wasn't one already. And she was just coming in to remind them of their assignment to take me out and anybody that was like me. But what I feel is that when this solar eclipse recently happened in the Aries new moon, this is when the rituals have been taking place around this time. Heavy rituals have been taking place around this time. Dark rituals where they have been conjuring up low vibrational entities, but specifically conjuring up the spirit of so-called Queen Elizabeth, because she was the head witch. She was one of the head witches, okay, that use spell work to control the masses in her region as well as all across the globe, especially the melanated male, man, woman, and child. Okay. So when she gave the order and said, go get them, and pointed at me specifically, it was a direct message because it showed me the video. Automatically, I received a vision, and it took me to the video when she pointed at me. And so it's almost like these people are specifically targeting those of us who are spreading a truth that is actually empowering people to declare and to decree and to speak out and to pull away from the false narrative or the fears or and to break the curses, the spell work and things of that nature that's been cast upon us. And so if you yourself know that you are out here doing spiritual work on behalf of the chosen, on behalf of your ancestors, your offspring, you're breaking generational curses, and you're trying to figure out, why is the energy so chaotic right now? What is all of these changes, whether it's happening within you or it's happening with situations outside of yourself, or both, okay? Because I've experienced both. Just know that it is an attack, a direct attack towards us. And right now, it was like when she pointed at me and her hand turned melanated, I feel that it was like her showing her hand. She couldn't hide what her agenda was. It was like in the dream, it was showing me her revealing her hand. You know how people hide their hand to prevent you from recognizing what their true agenda is, but she couldn't hide her hand. It showed her hand because her hand turned dark brown. So it let me know that when she said, go get them, and she pointed at me, it was because she's saying, go and get those melanated beings who have awakened, who have stepped into their position as being a chosen, a god or a goddess, and they recognize who they are, and they're actually moving in their purpose. Because in other words, it is a threat. It has been a threat, and it has caused a direct shift in the energy. And so now they've had to take extra measures, like they coming in, like she showed up personally in my dream, showed up personally on whatever this octagon looking airplane was, to come and specifically say, go and get them. The glitches that was happening in the system reminded me of like a computer system, okay? Because that's another thing. I knew that it meant something because I've been having problems with my computer, okay? I knew that it meant something because when I took it in, the guy was like, well, maybe it could possibly be a virus, you know. He literally told me, you know, if you don't have antivirus on your computer, which he said I don't have, he was like, it's literally like having sex without a condom, even though he used the other term, okay? So, virus. Think about this. The woman who had the gift as a Reiki master, the Hispanic lady that was in the dream with me, she told me telepathically that they were trying to erase her memory of her gifts. But they was giving her something to drink, which I feel represented the virus. And so, as you know, whenever you have to first put a glitch in the system some kind of way, there has to be a glitch in the system in order for the memory of the system to be erased, unless you manually go in and purposely erase it, right? There's a spiritual reflection of everything that happens in the physical. And so the virus is the representation of the low vibrational energy that has been casted upon the masses, specifically targeting those of us who have spiritual gifts, who are melanated beings, okay? Specifically targeting us. The virus is the low vibrational energy trying to get you in that state of grieving, anger, disappointment, feeling lack mentality, feeling less than enough. All of these different energies that have been pushing, like clawing at us through these karmics, okay? That's the virus. The erasing of the memory was the glitch in the system. When I saw her go from being who she was standing before me to suddenly sitting in her car chewing like a cow, talking about, girl, let's go to the club. That was two completely different people. But the person that showed up in that glitch was who she used to be before she had upgraded, before she had received those spiritual downloads that allowed her to become superhuman and to be able to utilize her gifts in a way where she was helping many, many people through all of this wisdom that was pouring out of her. And so If you're wondering why all of these changes have been happening, it's because they, specifically those who was doing the magic concerning so-called Queen Elizabeth, have been conjuring up her energy during this solar eclipse. So what we have to do as a collective, it's time to get into spiritual warrior mode, because what they're trying to steal from us is the memory of our Akashic records, the memory of our gifts, our spiritual gifts, and all of this wisdom and knowledge that we've come to remember or come to accumulate here in the age of Aquarius. They're trying to wipe out our memory by first distracting us with a virus. And that virus is representation of low vibrational energy, where it's like it's just coming hard. It ain't just coming at you, but it's coming hard. This ain't for everybody, but some of you all out there understand what I'm talking about, okay? So what we have to do is a declaration, okay? We're going to have to write on paper, I declare and decree that all spell work, dark magic, and rituals done against myself, my lineage, and all of the chosen seed across the four corners of the globe and their lineage is now destroyed. All attempts to erase our memory, to erase our Akashic records, to erase our gifts, our spiritual gifts, to erase our power is now destroyed in spirit and in flesh. And then lastly, all agendas, it just came to me, but it just slipped away just that quickly. But I think that's it. In spirit and in flesh, in sleep and awakened state, across all timelines, realms, and dimensions known and unknown. Now, I don't have this written down. This is just off the top of my head. So y'all are going to have to go back and rewind. For those of you that say I talk too fast, I tried to slow it down. Just rewind it. Take your time. Write it down if you're really committed to stepping into this and doing this as a collective body. We have to do this now, okay? After you do that, get you a candle. You can use a white candle and a permanent marker and write on the glass of the white candle. It could be like one of those candles that burns for about 4 days. I get mine from the Dollar Tree. And write on it, I declare and decree that all chosen seed rise into our power. We are divinely protected across the four corners of the globe. We are divinely guided by the Most High and our spiritual team. We continue to rise in our divinity and carry out our divine purpose without interference. In spirit and in flesh, in sleep and awakened state, across all timelines, realms, and dimensions, known and unknown. So, this is the message, y'all. It's serious out here, okay? I haven't had not one thought about that woman or that thing, whatever you want to call her. I have had not one thought. I have not seen her. I haven't heard about her since I did that video around the time of her death. So like I said, for her to show up in my dream personally, okay, to let me know that we go get her. I want her. I want them. But she showed her hand though. You see what I'm saying? She showed her hand. I know what them means. And so it was a direct message from the Most High and my spiritual team to give me a glimpse of what has been happening outside of what we're seeing in a 3D. All we know is that it's a lot of chaotic energy. You're feeling frustrated. You're feeling irritable. You're feeling, you might be crying more. You might just be feeling like, what's going on within me? Feeling like you got to balance your energy out more. It's because there's a direct attack upon those of you who have a divine assignment, and you know who you are. So if any of you were able to keep up with what I said, and you can put it in the description box below, please do that. I appreciate it every time y'all do that. It helps everyone. And I'm going to leave the link to the message that came through when I did speak on the so-called Queen Elizabeth around the time of her death, so that you can understand why her specifically, okay? Why this energy is directly coming from her energy, or those people who are conjuring up her on a spiritual level specifically, okay? So I love you all. You know, if you want a personal reading, reach out. I'll leave my email in the description box. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so that this message can get through into the algorithm and reach as many people as possible, because it's a spiritual warfare going on right now, and we got to all stand together to be armed up and ready, okay? But either way, they can't win. They can't win because we're being shown what they're up to. So you got to keep your energy, stay balanced, do what's necessary, take a salt bath, get outside, get grounded, drink water, drink smoothies, listen to your frequency, say your prayers, stay in gratitude, deep breathing exercises. I'm talking about sun gazing, you name it, you do it right now. All of those things you need to be doing on a regular basis. During writing, burning, and releasing, lighting your candles, calling on your spiritual team. I'm telling you, stay armed up. I love you all, and I will talk to you all next time.